Must be slow, Shaq. We're starting with goalkeepers. David De Gea, of course, sensational for Manchester United yesterday. But we discussed it. Was it an exceptional, brilliant, world-class performance, one of the best ever, or was it just bad finishing from Spurs? Well, Ben Foster to Twitter, former England goalkeeper, saying, I see a lot of people saying all De Gea's saves were straight at him. Please factor in that the guy has some mad sense to know where to be at just the right time. You can't teach that proper goalie. Goalie spelled a bit weirdly.
Yeah,
let's not dwell on that.
Goalie's not a word.
I understand exactly what Ben Foster is saying, and maybe you make the argument that the finishing could have been better, but David De Gea does everything that he should. This is textbook goalkeeping in terms of positioning, in terms of getting your feet set, being ready for whatever the opposition throws at you. And what he does well in staying on his feet and staying big, you go low, he makes his save with his feet because his positioning is so good. You go high, he makes his save with his hands. Probably the only other goalkeeper who does that to as good effect with any kind of consistency is Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who, as you all know, I think right now is probably the best in the world.
Were they not all saves, though, that you would expect him to make? Like, none of them stood out like, wow, this is a world-class performance.
That's technically, and from a goalkeeping perspective, that's even better because you get yourself in the right position, you cut the angle down so that the striker or the opponent doesn't have that much to hit, tries to beat you for pace, and you're equal to it. So he's in fantastic position. His reactions were incredible. And as I say, on the occasions where the angle was that you could go low or you could go high, he was set for either and made it look simple, where I think, in all honesty, it was far more difficult, and that was a far better performance than some of the rhetoric clearly suggests.
Which is what he's saying, which is why all good shows should have a goalkeeper on them.
I've been saying that for a long time, Craig.
And those that don't are doing a disservice to their audience. And there you have the very reason.
I'm sure you've not said that in the past.
Once a year, Shaq pops in, a bit of goalkeeping analysis, and then off he scoots again.
That's it. New contract, please.
We always talk about
holiday contract.
When centre forwards are going through on the goalkeepers, the game slows down for them. The best ones.
Yeah.
It seems like it's the same for him. You know, you don't see him gambling. You don't see him panicking or rushing out. He just picks up a good spot and follows it and makes a save.
Yeah, and never looks panicked, which, as you rightly say,
But should Spurs not have done better in front of goal?
Well, to that point, there's a couple of ways to look at it. I'm looking from the goalkeeping perspective, and to build on Stevie's point, David De Gea never looks panicked, always looks in position, and oftentimes you talk about how reassuring that is for defenders to see your goalkeeper look that way, look that confident, that composed, and how it actually raises their game. On the other side of the ball, when a striker comes in on a goal, in this occasion David De Gea, and he never looks flustered, always looks like he's about to make the save, it makes their job a little bit more difficult. Had he looked flustered and not quite certain of himself, then the likes of Kane and Dele Alli and whoever else, I think it makes their job a little bit easier. They can relax a little bit more on their side, on that side of the ball, and they can pick their spot a whole lot better. So it works psychologically in both instances, both for your defenders and against the attackers.
If you were playing, though, if you were still playing now, and you were up against those sort of shots, if you'd let any of them in, you would have been disappointed.
Well, yes, but to the point, me being in goal and Dele Alli coming in, if I'm not that quality of a goalkeeper, you know that when you come up against David De Gea, you only have a postage stamp to hit that you can beat him. And as a result, the striker tenses up a little bit. And his shot isn't as good as it should be, isn't as exact as it should be. And that's why I talk about the effect psychologically it has on the opponent.
What about your beard?
Well, David De Gea's beard is a lot like mine.
I'm not having Harry Kane turned into a bag of nerves because David De Gea was in goals.
Well, you should.
There's two sides to this story, and one is that De Gea did play well. The second one is that Dele Alli, and particularly Harry Kane, when he was through on the right-hand side, normally he picks the corner 6 or 7 times out of 10. This time he didn't, and that's allowed David De Gea to make the saves. He's not all of a sudden turned into Superman.